Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
Next, we'll discuss a new book, released on September 10, 2024, Yuval Noah Harari's Nexus, A Brief History of Information Networks from the Stone Age to AI. Harari is truly an old friend of our channel. His 2014 book Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, became an instant global bestseller. In 2016, he released Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, which we've analyzed on our channel before. He later published other works, such as 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, along with children's books and graphic novels, though they lacked the same depth. Nexus can be considered Harari's first major work in 8 years. Harari is one of the most influential scholars in the world today, perhaps without equal. He is a keynote speaker at major international forums and a favored guest of leading tech companies. Originally a historian specializing in medieval military history, he has long since evolved into a true polymath. People turn to him for insights on AI, the future of humanity, building trust between different groups, and whether AI will take over humanity. And he addresses all these questions with ease and eloquence. When someone becomes this famous, criticism inevitably follows. Some scholars have pointed out factual errors in his work. Others complain his predictions haven't materialized. There are also claims that he can't truly master so many fields, and that he's simply an exceptional storyteller. Even Harari's signature idea, that Homo sapiens' superpower lies in their ability to collectively believe in fictional constructs, isn't entirely original. It was first articulated by American philosopher John Searle. But to me, these criticisms don't matter. Harari's value lies in his role as a synthesizer. Many scholars leave their mark by diving deep into a single field and proposing new theories. But in our era, we also need synthesizers. Those who connect ideas across disciplines, integrate new knowledge, and weave it into a cohesive narrative. Such narratives may lack precision, or even be flawed, but they help us quickly make sense of the world. You have a right to know the current state of various disciplines, and the cutting-edge worldview they shape. When it comes to combining history, philosophy, and technology into a compelling story, Harari is unrivaled. Moreover, we can all learn something from Harari. In fact, his new book reveals the secret to storytelling. Not for writing bestsellers, but for mastering the art of mobilizing unlimited numbers of people to achieve grand objectives. It's a study of imperial strategy. While reading, I couldn't help but think, if this book had existed in ancient times, it might have been restricted to royal eyes only. But we have the right to know. The title of the book, Nexus, means connection. It explores the role of information throughout history. The backdrop of this book is one of today's most critical issues: AI. Harari examines the risks of AI spiraling out of control. While he isn't overly pessimistic, he is cautious, believing there's a significant chance things could go wrong. I don't share his concerns. Similarly, I think he overstates threats, like nuclear weapons and environmental crises. His prediction in Homo Deus that the AI age would lead to a divide between gods and useless people has yet to show any signs of becoming reality. But again, these points are secondary. A historian's job isn't to predict the future. As Harari himself says, it's to show us alternative possibilities, helping us become freer. Harari states that the purpose of his new book is to help us make wise choices and prevent the worst outcomes. He adds, the true subject of history isn't the past, but change. History shows us what remains constant, what transforms, and how those transformations occur. Thus, the book's value doesn't lie in assessing how dangerous AI is, but in Harari's reminder of how easily the forces that organize people for grand achievements can spiral out of control. The behavior of a group differs fundamentally from that of an individual. An individual, no matter their flaws, tends to act rationally. But when people are united through an information network, they can engage in irrational, even destructive, actions. Like the Nazis' systematic genocide of Jews. This principle applies today, and will remain relevant as we face AI in the future. More advanced technology hasn't made human groups wiser, and this is Harari's greatest concern. Let's begin with the question. What is information? In physics and computer science, it's defined as entropy, or the reduction of uncertainty. But Harari is discussing information in its historical context. He proposes three perspectives on information. The first is the naïve view of information, which we might also call the intellectual's view. This perspective sees information as a representation of reality. The more information you acquire, the closer you come to the truth, and thus, the wiser and more powerful you become. For instance, knowing which medicine cures a disease, where prey can be hunted, or how many troops the enemy has allows you to make informed decisions and take action. Scientific knowledge and socioeconomic data are the most valuable types of information. Many intellectuals believe that only truthful information is useful, while false information is the most harmful. According to this view, societal problems arise simply because people lack sufficient information to make the right choices. Doesn't this sound logical? If someone understands game theory, they should know that, in the long run, cooperation is far better than betrayal or confrontation. Those who seek to fight everyone aren't immoral. They're misinformed. Similarly, people's differing values often stem from information gaps. Why are some people racist? Because they don't realize there are no essential differences between races. They're misinformed. Thus, the solution offered by the naive view of information is to provide more useful information. However, Harari argues that this view overlooks the power of false information. What often motivates individuals to act or mobilizes groups is not truth, but falsehood. Take music, for example. It's just a sequence of notes. Neither true nor false. Yet it evokes deep emotions, and even synchronizes movements. How should we define such information? The second perspective is the populist view of information. You've likely heard the term populism frequently. People call Trump supporters populists, and label certain Chinese netizens the same. Populism is often used pejoratively, as the antithesis of democracy. But what exactly is populism? Is it just anyone who disagrees with intellectuals? Or does it simply refer to ordinary people? Not at all. Representing the legitimate interests of ordinary people is democracy. Populism, by contrast, is a mindset, not a matter of interests. Put simply, populism is about attacking the person, not the argument. It doesn't matter whether an idea is logical. What matters is which side you're on. Political scientist Cass Mutta describes populists as believing society is ultimately divided into two homogeneous and antagonistic groups: the pure people versus the corrupt elite. Why are Trump supporters considered populists? Because they divide Americans into two categories. On one side, the deep state and wealthy elites. On the other, blue-collar workers and ordinary patriots. Similarly, some left-wing perspectives see every human interaction as a power struggle between oppressors and the oppressed, such as the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat, or foreign imperialism versus the local population. For populists, statements made by their own camp must be defended as correct, even if they seem wrong. Conversely, anything said by the opposing camp is deemed inherently false. In the populist worldview, information is merely a weapon for seizing power. Populists trust power, not truth. Popular sayings like, "Truth lies within the range of cannons," "History is a malleable maiden," and "History is written by the victors," reflect the essence of populist thinking. It may be hard to imagine today, but Einstein's theory of relativity was once criticized, during specific historical periods, as a reactionary bourgeois ideology. If you feel regret over that, just look at modern America, where many Trump supporters believe the government's claims about COVID-19 and vaccines are deceptive. This anti-intellectual attitude of populism contains a logical paradox. If you claim that the government and elites are entirely untrustworthy, then what do you believe in? Don't you also need a guiding ideology? And isn't the person promoting that ideology simply trying to gain power over you? Harari proposes two solutions to this dilemma. One is to distrust all narratives from above, and call on individuals to rely solely on their personal experience to perceive the world. For example, if you don't personally sense the existence of COVID-19, you can conclude that it doesn't exist. The problem with this approach is that it cannot lead to large-scale cooperation. When everyone believes in different things, unity becomes impossible. The second solution, historically the most common, is to believe in God. Governments may lie, scientists may be compromised, but the Bible or the Quran is infallible, because it is sacred. Alternatively, one could deify Trump as a representative of God, find a savior, or follow an enlightened leader. Populism can indeed unite people to achieve grand objectives, but it struggles to accomplish constructive or complex goals. This is because it disdains true knowledge, focusing solely on struggle and power. The third perspective on information, advocated by Harari in this book, is called the complex view of information. Harari argues that information is what connects different points into a network to create a new reality. First, truth exists in the world. If you ate dumplings for lunch yesterday, it cannot also be noodles. History cannot be fabricated. However, truth does not equate directly to reality, because reality has many facets. It's like the parable of the blind men and the elephant. One person feels the elephant's ear, another its leg, and each describes it differently. Any single description of the truth cannot encompass all of reality. It's impossible to describe every atom's motion at a scene. Moreover, truth encompasses not just objective facts, but also subjective experiences. For example, I felt very distressed at that time is also a truth. The existence of truth gives meaning to scientific research, value to knowledge, and allows humans to gain wisdom and drive progress in the world. But truth is overrated. Truth is only one part of information. The other part includes fabricated realities and imagined constructs. Examples include music, the metaverse, folklore, religious doctrines, astrology, and even social rumors. These may be false, but can foster social connections and generate order. This echoes Harari's argument in *Sapiens*. Large-scale cooperation is possible, because people can believe in shared imaginations. In his new book, Harari downplays the term imagination and shifts to information, perhaps to emphasize the universality of the phenomenon. False information is still information, and often more useful than truth. Many elements of the Bible, such as historical accounts framing floods and plagues as divine punishments, are incorrect. Yet the Bible has connected billions of people, provided order, and facilitated large-scale cooperation. The dominance of Homo sapiens over the world is not primarily due to our vast repository of truthful information, but rather our shared belief in false information. The complex view of information sees information as serving two functions: conveying truth and creating order. Truth brings wisdom and power, but order itself is power. The next lecture will explore fascinating stories about how information creates order. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.